Everyone, and welcome back to our show, Cooking with a Machete. I know that we took a few weeks hiatus, but we wanted to take some time to focus on ourselves, the holiday, and the new year. But we're thrilled to be back and up and running, and we have some all new content, some all new recipes, so we're really excited to be back working with you all. So I know what you're all thinking, butternut squash soup usually takes a long time to make, but we're gonna make this short, sweet, to the point, and great news, we have a lot of things to chop. And I know that's why you're all really here, because you're really waiting on to see if I cut myself at any certain time and point. But I won't. So let's get started. The first step is to get all of your ingredients together. First, we are going to start off by peeling all of our items, because as we learned before, I'm not always the best at remembering to peel things. So what we want to do is just peel the squash. Ugh. This thing is a little heavy. Ugh. You're not doing it right if you're not making faces. And usually I only make about half of this squash, but we are doubling the recipe today because we want to share some with Tierney's mom and grandmother. This is a really nice arm workout for those of you trying this at home. All right. I'm basically going to just end up chopping that end off, so that should be good with the squash. Let's get all these out of the way. And then I'm going to remember to peel my potatoes this time. If I do it all at once, there's no way I can forget. Also, I just want to point out, I have made this recipe now 3 times in the last month, and that's just how good it is. So I hope you all make it at home and enjoy it as much as I do. And for kicks and giggles, I am going to be adding a sweet potato into this alongside my regular potatoes. I want to try and see if it adds a little bit of a different flavor to it. So I'm really excited about that. You don't have to add sweet potatoes, it's just something that we thought might be interesting. And who knows, it could end up being terrible. We'll see. But usually I just add the potatoes and the squash with the rest of the stuff. Thank God I'm not peeling this with a machete. After peeling all of our items, we want to begin with our most daunting task, which is chopping the squash. And we basically are going to want to dice it into smaller pieces, but you don't have to make them super small because they're going to end up being mixed. But since we are going to be roasting it, we want them a little bit smaller so that way they cook evenly. And it's kind of a tough boy, so usually I want to chop it in half, and we're going to do this really awesomely, so, because we can. Oh, it didn't go all the way. Ha-ha! Okay. God damn it. Okay, I've rinsed the squash since they both went flying in opposite directions. So I'm going to start with 1/2 of this and then go from there. Okay, I have to move this closer. Otherwise I hit my hand on this and that does not feel nice. So we have that. Okay. And these you want to cut into relatively small pieces. Don't make them too large, but since we are going to be roasting them in the oven, we want them to kind of cook evenly, and the thicker and bigger they are, the longer it's going to take for them to roast. So make them, give or take, little small, medium sizes. I will say this is proving to be more effective than using a regular knife, because sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but I struggle really hard sometimes getting through a squash with a regular knife. And yes, I know I'm struggling with this, but You've not seen me use a real knife. You know what I think we have to do is sharpen the machete. Maybe we'll do that the next time. Still a lot of squash to go. Lovely. Turns out you just have to have a little bit more gumption to your hits instead of hesitation. No hesitation marks. You're still all waiting for me to cut myself, and I know that. I too am waiting on that moment, so hoping it never comes. And most of you probably noticed that we are not in our usual spot in the kitchen. We just actually wanted to show you the variation of colors in our house on the wall. No, I'm just kidding. This just felt more appropriate. Plus, change of scenery, you know? No hesitation. I felt like this damn near broke. Just found out there's a squash in the oregano, but that's fine. They're all gonna be combined at some point anyway. Okay, no hesitation. Oh. No! Okay, well now we have seeds everywhere. This is more fun than using a knife. You all need to try using a machete someday. It's the wildest mess, but who cares when you're having fun. I'll get to the other piece in a minute. So, you also want to scoop out the innards of your squash because it's kind of like a pumpkin, actually. It's got all the seeds and the goop. You don't want any of that. So much more squash than I'm used to cutting all at once. My whole bicep's getting tired. Hi, Ada. Hi, Ada. Hi, Ada. She is so cute and clearly has a lot to say. Oven sheets, we want to throw some oil in there. And we're going to probably use more than one. I'll probably end up using 3 or 4 of these because you don't want to over-layer the squash or the potatoes. But you want to make sure they're kind of coated in the oil. Just enough. And then you want to add some salt, pepper, and some thyme to it generously. Because this is going to give it a really, really nice earthy flavor. This is kind of what the potatoes and the squash do. Which is probably why people love it so much. It's kind of like a taste of home. Okay, there's that. You know, I added some oregano. You can add whatever you want. But this is a little bit of thyme, which will be added in later on also. So now that you have this, you're going to toss these in the oven. Once you have your potatoes in there also, you're going to toss them in the oven at about 400 degrees for approximately 25 minutes, give or take, depending on how strong your oven is. But it'll give it a nice, good roast. It'll soften them up and make it easier to mix later on. So we want to chop our potatoes. And also similar sizes, because again, we are roasting them. We want them to cook evenly and them to be soft. If your potatoes are too thick, they won't get as soft and it'll be harder to mix them later on. We also don't need them super tiny. You don't necessarily have to roast your squash and your potatoes. I just like it because it adds a really nice flavor to it. And you can really taste it in the end. Try making it both ways, you'll understand. Okay, there's our sweet potato. Ooh, wait, you know what? I need to chop these like I chop onions. Still waiting for me to cut myself. Y'all can suck it. Maybe one day. Oh, today is not that day. We just gotta finish cutting our potatoes, and we are going to do the same exact thing as we did with our squash. We're gonna just place them in a baking sheet, throw some oil on them, and we want to mix that around. Okay. Aprons are literally the fucking shit, so if you don't have one, you should invest, because where else are you gonna wipe your hands? Your neighbor, your friend, your wife? Hey now. Now that our squash and our potatoes are roasting, in the meantime, we are going to chop our remaining ingredients. So, don't need that much garlic. So, let's actually start with our garlic. One of the simpler, finer things in life, if I can do it properly. I've taught you all how to chop garlic at this point, so I'm not gonna go over it again. Okay, so I'm gonna just, for now, add this into this little bowl here, because we're eventually gonna just combine all these ingredients into our pot with some butter, some oil, so it can simmer, and that way they soften up a little bit, and we'll add the rest of our stuff in it afterwards. So now let's go to our onion. Love that sound. It's my favorite sound. Onion. Somehow I missed that piece. Do I want to have a half or a whole? Or maybe 3/4. I'm gonna go with 3/4 of an onion, just because it feels right. So we'll set this little onion aside, take the skin off this bad boy. Okay, whatever. Okay, so we just add a little bit more onion to our pile here. Okay. Gordon Ramsay would be so disappointed in me right now. That's fine. If he could come to my house and yell at me and teach me how to make food a little bit better than I already do, that would be fan-fucking-tastic. Okay, and now we have some carrots. And usually you'd use full on carrot sticks, but I like to have little cute baby carrots in my life, just like most cute little things I have in my life. Some of my favorites. And that way you can kind of judge how much carrot you want based on how many you use. They're slightly easier to cut also, let's be honest. An entire carrot is basically the size of the celery stick, and it's a lot harder. Whereas these are just tiny and cute, just like me, tiny and cute. Okay, you know what, I'm gonna just chop a bunch of these at once. I don't know why I'm trying to chop them individually like some crazy person, but we'll be here all day if I did that. So we have some garlic, onion, celery, carrots. What we're gonna do with this is plop in our pan, in our pot, I should say, with some butter, some oil, and we're gonna simmer it just to soften them up just a little bit, and then, I didn't like how that looked at me. And then we'll go from there. We have arrived at the world's greatest conundrum, is how in the world do you mix your soup? I've tried this several ways. I've tried using a blender and a food processor, and nothing really compares to what I'm about to use. As a Christmas gift, I was gifted an immersion blender. I'm really excited, because that means you don't have to transfer your soup into the blender or the processor while maybe making a mess and maybe burning yourself, and that's never pleasurable. Been there, done that, doesn't feel good. So I'm really excited, because we are about to finalize our soup. Yeah, so if you don't have one of these and you are just using a blender or a food processor, that's totally fine. Just know it's going to be a little bit more work. This thing is a lot of fun, and it's basically just going to mix all of our ingredients, and I'm going to leave the texture smooth and a little bit of chunky because that's how Tierney likes it. Some people want it completely smooth because they don't want to have any chunks at all. Others want a bunch of chunks because they just want to feel like they're eating something, not just slurping something. So, for starters, we are just going to place our blender in, and I'm just going to start mixing. And this is way more efficient than a blender. I don't know if you can see my face, but I'm really, really excited. This was the literal best gift I could have gotten at Christmas. Sorry, everyone who got me a gift, but come on. You cannot beat this. It's like magic. Alright, so I want to test my consistency right now. And it's got a little bit of chunks, but it's still nice and creamy. A little bit of smooth. Pretty sure that's how Tierney likes it.
A little less chunky.
Little less chunky. So we're gonna go a little less chunky for the sake of my wife. Number 2. Even the immersion blender is steaming. Whew. And thus we have some soup. What I'm going to do is scoop some into my bowl here. And a nice side for this soup is usually a nice baguette. Some crackers are always really nice. I personally don't have anything alongside of my soup, but still yummy all the same. So I know we've added quite a bit of thyme, but I just want to garnish the top of this with a little bit of thyme. And I have some parsley and some basil. Don't use a lot of this because both of these are very, very potent, but it is really nice for the look of it. And voila, we have roasted butternut squash soup. And I don't have a regular spoon, so I'm just gonna do one of these. And that is perfection. Oh my God. None of y'all are eating this. I don't care about germs. Holy shit. So thank you all for watching. I'm really, really, really excited that you were here to make this recipe with us. This is about to be phenomenal. So comment below with your ideas, opinions, if you have something to say about the recipe, if you just want to add your own ideas or something to recommend for us to make next week or the following week or even the week after that. That's fine too. We're going to be here. So stick around, follow us, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.